quote, "We have nothing to hide."
All right, folks, buckle up because today we're diving into one of the weirdest political plot twists we've seen in a long time. Donald Trump just flipped on releasing the Epstein documents, and suddenly he's saying, we have nothing to hide. But here's the thing. Something's not adding up. This story has Democrats, Republicans, the media, and honestly, everybody who isn't living under a rock scratching their heads. Trump's base didn't want this, Congress didn't expect this, and the media is dying to spin this into something sinister. So let's break this down piece by piece, because the timing, the tone, and the reasoning behind this U-turn, yeah, it deserves a closer look. Let's get into it.
Says Donald Trump. The president now saying he wants House Republicans to vote in favor of a bill to compel his own Justice Department to release the Jeffrey Epstein case files.
Okay, hold up. This is Trump coming right out of the gate saying we have nothing to hide. Now, usually when a politician says that, it means they have something to hide. But Trump says stuff like this because he knows it sends the media into a full meltdown. But here's the weird part. His own base didn't want this. MAGA World has been yelling for weeks that releasing these files just feeds the left-wing narrative machine. And suddenly he's like, yeah, sure, open the vault. It's like your friend who insists he doesn't care if you look through his phone, right? After he spent 20 minutes deleting texts. Something's off.
And just moments ago, he indicated he'll sign the bill if it lands on his desk.
I'm for I don't, they can do whatever they want. We'll give them everything. Sure I would. Let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it. But don't talk about it too much.
Let him. Okay, all of this is a stark reversal on an issue that more than any other has seen Trump's own base refuse to go along with him.
Right here is where the plot thickens. Trump says, yeah, release it, but don't talk about it too much. Come on, that's like telling someone, sure, you can look in my closet, but maybe don't turn the light on. And CNN trying to paint this as Trump against his base? No, the base is just cautious. They know how the media weaponizes anything Epstein related. The left pretends like Epstein was some Republican playboy when literally half the Democrat donor list was on that island ordering drinks. But Trump saying don't talk about it too much, yeah, something's not adding up there. That's not a confident tone. That's a strategic tone.
This all come down to the Epstein files, and that is shocking. And, you know, I stand with these women.
My people want to know who else, if anyone, did Epstein traffic young women to?
Dogs don't bark at parked cars, and we are winning.
In a social media post on Sunday, the president said the House Oversight Committee could have any documents that they're legally entitled to, and then declared in all caps, quote, "I don't care," end quote. Just 3 days prior, he had said that Republicans focused on Epstein were, quote, "soft and foolish." The House vote is expected to come as soon as tomorrow. Even before the president's flip-flop on this, House Republican leaders were bracing for many of their members to support the bill. Last night, President Trump seemed to acknowledge just how big a distraction the Epstein story has been throughout his second term.
They're using Jeffrey Epstein as a deflection from the tremendous success that we're having as a party.
All right. This part, 100% true. The media uses Epstein like a fire extinguisher. Whenever Democrats are in trouble, they just blast the Epstein smoke everywhere and hope the Republicans get covered in it. You notice when this comes up, always when conservatives are winning something. But again, if that's the case, why take the bait? Why give them the documents? Why flip now after calling Republicans soft and foolish for even focusing on it? Either the timing is terrible, or he's trying to get ahead of something before it gets ahead of him. And look, I like Trump, but politically, this move feels like when your GPS keeps recalculating because even it doesn't know where you're going anymore.
All right, let's get off the sidelines, head into the arena. My panel is here. We're also joined by CNN senior White House correspondent Kristen Holmes and CNN chief congressional correspondent Manu Raju. Kristen, let me start with you. We just heard at some length from the president. What more is he saying ahead of this expected vote?
Yeah, a lot of this was blaming Democrats, saying Democrats are the ones with the Epstein problem. At one point, he said he didn't want this to take away from people recognizing how much he had done. But the question persisted multiple times. Would you sign this bill if it landed on your desk? It's one thing to put out a truth social saying, sure, go ahead, do whatever you want. Republicans should vote for it. It's quite another to affirm that you would sign this on your desk. And here's what he said.
So I'm for I don't. They can do whatever they want. We'll give them everything. Sure, I would. Let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it. But don't talk about it too much because honestly, I don't want to take it away from us. It's really a Democrat problem. The Democrats were Epstein's friends, all of them, and it's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax, and I don't want to take it away from really the greatness of what the Republican Party has accomplished over the last period of time.
Yeah, so you hear him there saying it's a hoax again, but of course I will remind you that last week, at the end of the week, President Trump insisted that the Department of Justice, as well as Attorney General Pam Bondi, look into Democrats' ties to Epstein. So clearly not a hoax in that case. And I do want to just quickly note, you can hear him there, really raspy, gravelly voice. He said that over the weekend he was yelling at another country about a trade deal. They wanted to renegotiate terms of the trade deal. He wouldn't say which country that was.
Fair enough. Kristen, thank you for that reporting. Manu, from your end of Pennsylvania Avenue, you caught up with the House Speaker earlier. What are we hearing from Mike Johnson?
Yeah, we do expect this vote to happen tomorrow, and we expect it to be a significant number of Republicans and Democrats, maybe more than 400 members. We'll see if it's even unanimous. That's going to be one of the big questions. The question, too, is the Speaker himself. He has, of course, tried to deny this bill from coming for a vote for months. There was an effort to circumvent his opposition that succeeded to force the vote, force the Speaker's hand. And when I asked him if he's actually going to support the bill, now that Trump has reversed course, he said, my support will be conditioned upon an agreement in the Senate that if they indeed process it, they fix the terrible provisions in it. And I also asked him about Trump's very harsh rhetoric against Marjorie Taylor Greene, his longtime ally and supporter of this Epstein bill, whom Trump called a traitor repeatedly over the weekend. Greene herself said that this is causing threats to her family, her security and safety. And I asked him if he would advise Trump not to level that kind of rhetoric.
Would you advise the president to stop calling her a traitor?
I don't. Look, it's not surprising that the president was frustrated because of some of the criticisms that Marjorie had been out stating to the media, and of course she criticizes me all the time. But I work on unity in the party, and my encouragement of everybody is to get together. We've got to do that in order to deliver for the people.
So declining to criticize the president's comments there. Now, when it comes to this bill, which will come to the floor tomorrow, the question is going to be how the Senate will deal with it. Given that the president is now signaling that he would be okay if the Senate were to act, it remains to be seen how the Senate Majority Leader pursues this. We are hearing that the Senate Majority Leader John Thune is looking at his options, is going to see how the House vote turns out before making a decision himself. And Thune had thrown cold water on moving ahead on this just a few weeks ago. But because of Trump's shift, they expect Republicans in the Senate to be under enormous pressure to move ahead on this bill as well, especially if this bill is approved, as we expect tomorrow, by an overwhelming vote in the House. Casey.
Overwhelming indeed. All right, Manu Raju, Kristen Holmes, thank you both very much for getting us started. Our panel is here in the arena, political reporter and author Molly Ball. Get this, the former host of MSNBC's Hardball is here, Chris Matthews. We're also joined by CNN political commentator, former communications director for Vice President Kamala Harris, Jamal Simmons, and the former Republican congressman from Michigan, Peter Meyer. Welcome to all of you. Thanks for being here. So I want to replay kind of the piece of sound that we showed from the president at the top of the show because it gives you kind of a little bit of a flavor of the degree of flip-flop here, right? Let's watch.
I'm for I don't. They can do whatever they want. We'll give them everything. Sure, I would. Let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it. But don't talk about it too much.
You know, he took his goon. The goons took Boebert into the Situation Room and work her over. Okay, they threatened the other woman by calling her a traitor over and over again, and he doesn't care. Minutes ago, he said something else. I think he's got a tactical name here. He's going to act like, I'll go along with the discharge petition, but then the Senate gets to look at it. Oh, isn't that great? Isn't that prissy? A little look at it. That's what, and he'll do a look at it. Is he going to sign it? Is he going to let that information out? Everybody knows he's got something there he doesn't want out. Nobody knows what it is, but he knows what it is.
Whew, a lot out there. And this is where the media sharks start circling. They love this narrative. Trump must be hiding something. Trump is scared. Trump knows what's in the fridge and it smells bad. Okay, first of all, if Trump was hiding something, do you really think it wouldn't have leaked after 8 years of nonstop federal investigations? Half the DC leaks when someone microwaves fish. But the panel is right about one thing. This Epstein stuff is political kryptonite. It doesn't matter who you are, Democrat, Republican, celebrity, banker. Nobody wants their name anywhere near it. So when Trump abruptly shifts gears, yeah, people are going to start connecting dots that may not even exist. That's the danger here.
Congressman, what do you think? Yeah, what do you think changed here? I mean, because he had a strategy that, I mean, they were dragging Lauren Boebert into the Situation Room to try to convince her not to vote. They were telling people, their aides were putting out all kinds of anonymous quotes saying, a vote for this is a vote against the president. And then all of a sudden, the story has totally changed.
No, I mean, I think number one, he's frustrated that he hasn't been able to control the narrative, right? Donald Trump is excellent at controlling the narrative. He grabs that laser pointer, points it at the wall, and everyone goes in like a little cat, to try to follow it. This is something that has escaped containment, not just in the media more broadly, but also more importantly among the MAGA base. That having been said, if there was anything politically toxic to him in all of this, there is no way on God's green earth that it would have survived not getting into the public realm from 2021 to 2024 ahead of the November elections, right? I do think there are things that are inconvenient. There's probably some things that are embarrassing, just like we've seen amongst, former Treasury Secretary who was mentioned in there, the delegate, non-voting delegate, member of Congress from the Virgin Islands who was texting with Jeffrey Epstein during the Michael Cohen deposition or hearing in Congress. Like, there's probably additional things that are out there, some of which may rise up to bump on some national security things that, again, are not criminal in nature, but would be embarrassing.
Why should he defend Democrats? Why is Trump hiding these papers?
Joe Biden.
To save Democrats? Doesn't make any sense.
No, but we were talking. This has gone from a QAnon to a blue anon.
He's not in the business
of
looking out for Democrats.
No,
he's not in the business.
No, but he is the commander in chief, and there may be some elements that are national security adjacent, right? Again, why did Biden sit on all this? Why was Biden?
What you're saying is logical. What you're saying, it's not logical.
Yeah, I mean, think there are actual equities.
The reality is he controls. I mean, he is not afraid to tell his Department of Justice to investigate his enemies, but he seems to be afraid to order them to release these files.
Yeah, I don't believe that Donald Trump would do anything just to protect Democrats or anyone else. There is something in this refrigerator that is stinky, and the president does not want to open it up. He doesn't want anybody to look at it. And I think the rest of us, at some point, are going to find out what's inside of there because we're going to see the House vote for it. It's going to be very hard for senators to stand up in front of their constituents and say, no, I'm not going to vote to expose people who may be pedophiles. It's going to be very hard for that to happen. And then we're going to see the president is going to have the ingenuity or the need to veto it. The imperative. I'm trying to use a word I can say on television. But if he can have the imperative to do this and to veto it in front of people, and then we'll see whether or not the House will override that veto. This is very tough terrain for him.
Molly, what do you think changed for the president?
Well, I think, look, it's politics 101 that if the train is leaving the station anyway, you might as well get in the conductor's car and seem to be in control of the situation, right? I think after his unsuccessful attempts to stop this from taking hold in the House, when it became clear that was not going to work, the votes were there, they could not be budged, he decided he might as well make it look like this was his idea.
That is actually the smartest take they've had all night. Trump didn't jump. He got pushed. The votes were already there, the base was already agitating, Congress was already moving, and the media was already salivating. So Trump probably said, fine, if they're going to release it anyway, I'm going to pretend it was my idea. Classic Trump branding. When he can't stop something, he rebrands it around himself like Apple rebrands old USB ports. But again, this doesn't answer the big question. Why fight it at first and then suddenly flip? That's where the title comes back. Something isn't adding up.
And this is always the cycle with any kind of Trump scandal, right? Is that the first half of the scandal is this didn't happen and I had nothing to do with it. And then the second half of the scandal is, well, it did happen, but I'm proud of it and it was a good thing, actually. So whether you're talking about, both impeachments, January, this is always the way his sort of cycle goes. So if he can appear to be in control of the situation and take ownership of it and have it look like his idea, but at the end of the day, what matters is what, if anything, is in those documents.
And so here's where we land. Trump says he has nothing to hide. The media says he's panicking. Congress says they're ready to drop the files. And the American people, well, they just want the truth. But this U-turn, this timing, this tone, yeah, something still feels off. Let me know what you think is really going on here. Is Trump playing 4D chess? Is he trying to get ahead of a story? Or is this just political turbulence in the White House? Drop your thoughts below, hit like if you enjoyed the breakdown, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. See you in the next video.